I would like to thank each and every one of you for being here today, as this would not be able to happen without your presence, regardless of the indifferences we share here in the room today. Needless to say, everyone mentioned before me supplementary admission criteria regarding impaction definitely is on top of the agenda here today. I just truly hope we can all come to as a collective to make decisions for the students' future and well-being. I came from a dysfunctional family myself, and I must say, only in America someone like myself can stand here before you and voice the truth, championing all those that spoke before me and all those that will speak after me. As some of my fellow colleagues mentioned earlier, I will also help kick down the door, but not only help kick down the door, I will also rebuild the door and transform it into a 24-hour open door policy bridge that our students can cross in order to accomplish the American dream. But for now, it seems like it's the American dream. I know that it's not only the job of our faculty members, nor is it not only the job of Sacramento and the students in our communities to come together and unify, but it's the responsibility of all to create change. You see, Sacramento doesn't have full responsibility. This building doesn't have full responsibility. You and I have full responsibility. And it's our responsibility and our duty to contribute to a more conducive environment for all. The students' future is in our hands. United as one. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any other speaker, please?
Hi, I'm Eric.
Sorry,
Hi, I'm Erica Burba, and I'm in Latin American Studies, and I'm probably one of the newer people on this campus. And I just wanted to sort of, I've been just, I don't want to repeat what other people have said. I just want to kind of be very brief and sort of highlight a few things, which is we're asking for a one-year moratorium so we can do what we need to do, which is figure out how can we solve this problem and not exclude students who deserve to be here and promote equity, which is absolutely the historic mission of this university. That's all we're asking. And who's asking? Well, clearly the students. They have been able to gather a petition of 1,000 students and, rapid, monumental time. These are supposed to be students who don't care about this or who are too busy, and that 1,000 signatures is a lot this quickly. And clearly, faculty's asking for it, and it's faculty that really care about students, and that's why we're here, and it's the joy of being here, as my colleague, Professor Abdullah, said, it's what makes us want to be here. We love our students. This is the student body we want to serve. We don't want any of them excluded, and that's why we're doing this work. And it has been, we're doing this work. We haven't even had a chance to think about how are we going to solve the problem because we've been working so hard to make sure that impaction doesn't go through. And the reason we don't want impaction to go through and why it's super important that we stop it is because once it goes through, I know supposedly universities can stop impaction in the past, but the message is this is the solution, and it's not. It is the measures that they're using are absolutely arbitrary, and so we're saying we're going to raise the SAT scores and ACT scores at the same moment that the UC system is saying we're going to get rid of them because they are against equity. They exclude students who deserve to be on the campus. They predict nothing but social class. So who's asking? And then finally, and I realize that there's this dilemma that in a sense by asking for a one-year moratorium, we're kicking the can down the road, correct? Because we know that too many students want to come here. But again, the other solution, which is to declare impaction that just says we've already solved the problem and the solution that's being proposed is not the right solution. And finally, we are so talented and wonderful and caring people. We haven't had a chance to sit down at the table yet and figure out what our options are, and that's all we're asking for. And I just wanted to say quickly, you all know who's going to be excluded. It's students who are professors here today. That's who's being excluded if we take arbitrary measures of what student success means, as opposed to letting real students who are our pride and joy show us what success means. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello everybody, my name is Doug. I'm class of 2015, alumni. I came here as a transfer student in 2011. I came into an impacted major. I worked my butt off. And I'm one of those students that helped earn Cal State LA #1 for social mobility. I got a Pell Grant, Cal Grant, State University Grant, scholarships, thanks in part to this school. This school is one of the only pathways that I had to transcend social classes. And this impaction is part of a larger movement to narrow that pathway for us. When I came here in 2011, it was a quarter system school. Most of the students were commuter students. And we're gradually moving toward a different type of customer now. Students, or fewer students every year are gonna become, fewer students will be Pell Grant recipients probably. They want more students who can afford the dorms. And it's basically just targeting a new market. Impaction is just one piece of a puzzle. And I urge all of you, if you're still undecided, say no to impaction. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr.
I just want to quickly just echo something that Dr. Molina said about, dropping the niceness, because when Dr. Molina spoke up, some folks over here were rolling their eyes when she said that. And I just really want folks, especially white folks, to check your privilege, because the students are going to be excluded are my black brothers and sisters, my brown brothers and sisters. We're the ones who are going to be excluded. So I just really want folks to check your privilege, especially white folks, and how this is impacting people of color, predominantly people of color. So, just putting that out there, and I don't appreciate, the eye rolling. Right.
Ellie, can I just make a quick take? Please don't interpret the eye rolling or anything. We love our students. This Senate loves our students, okay? I just want to say that. This is new for us, we're absorbing, okay? So thank you so much. Do I have another speaker? We'll go for repeat speakers right now because we don't have additional speakers. Okay, I had Barbara, but Molly, go ahead, please.
Part 2, I'm still okay with being recorded. Molly, Talcott, sociology, senator. This is a little, at the Board of Trustees, they have the mics really low, and I always feel like they want us to be small, right? Because they give us 2 minutes for public comment every other month at the Board of Trustees. I invite you all to come in March at the next Board of Trustees meeting, and I'll announce it at a future Senate meeting. I appreciate the comments from both Dr. Sister Molina and our students about the myth of collegiality, and I'll save more of what I want to say about the GE task force at a future Senate meeting, but I will say that the non-transparent way, which begins at the top, of creating these secret task forces and these secret plans is the height of uncollegiality. It is the height of being impolite. Okay, so I want us to know and be clear on that. 2 historians from Cal State Fullerton were marched out of the chancellor's office by police, speaking of the abusive nature of the police on our campuses, because they wanted to attend a GE task force meeting. And they were told, no, this is not a public meeting, and you need to leave. And they were marched out. So to me, that's a lack of collegiality with guns, right? Even worse. Echoing, like I said, I'm going to leave the GE task force stuff, but I really appreciate what my colleague Talia Betcher raised about how we need to enlarge the conversation, and what my colleague Alejandro Marchevsky mentioned about rejecting the binary. I have the privilege of not just being a sociologist and teaching in the classroom about inequality, but I've been humbled to be part of movements. I've been part of the Black Lives Matter movement, the immigrant rights movement, the queer movement, and the faculty labor movement. And one thing I've learned on the ground is that the possibilities are larger than the elites, the technocrats that have captured the managerial corporate culture of this university system would have us believe. One of my favorite moments, and it was my 40th birthday, April 7th, 2016, when we settled our contract. Faculty had been underpaid, lecturer faculty on food stamps, some living in their cars for years. We'd been told by the chancellor's office 2%, there's no money, I'm sorry, that's all we can do. You know, our hands are tied, oh, pass the buck, the legislature. Earnest student journalists called in one after the other and saying, Chancellor White, how did you find the money? How did you get from 2 to 10.5% and 19.5% now 2 years later? And he had no answer. The answer, of course, is that we organized. When we fight, we win. There are always ways in a state where we spend more on prisons than on higher education. Like I said, this is 21st century institutional racism. And to my dear faculty colleagues, and I've been so heartened to work with so many of you over the last 10 years, you know, we are visionaries, not functionaries. As intellectuals, we enlarge the possibilities in our students' hearts and minds in the classroom, as they do for us, in this room especially today. There are always other ways. Margaret Thatcher said there's no alternative, right? I don't want to be Margaret Thatcher. I don't think you do. A couple other things. CFA forced the Ledge to do an audit of the CSU, and this was mentioned earlier by my colleague. There were a 52% spike in administrators in a 5-year period, okay? And that was explained away, well, we need, you know, assistant, associate, deanlets, this and that. Tenure track hiring. CFA fought for $50 million for tenure track hiring for last year. We got $25 million across the system. The CSU opposed it because, remember that corporate managerial culture, they like flexibility. You know, they don't like to be told what to do with their money. They want to keep spending 37% on instruction at this campus, a teaching institution. So there are lots of ways to enlarge our imaginations and to fight for what we need, which is a public university system that serves all of our students. CFA is also working on pushing toward free higher education. We've come out for free higher education with means-tested cost of living supports. And so I invite you to join us in the work. Lastly, I just want to note that one of the things that's been proposed, you know, one of the rationales for impaction is our escalating workloads, declining tenure density. And boy, I hear about it. I get emails literally every day. I myself had cancer at age 40. I know what this place does to us. It grinds us down, right? And we love our students, so we carry on and we stay. But there's a correlation between the kind of students we serve and our workloads. I have colleagues at Cal State San Marcos on the tenure line, 9 units a term. We're told here, can't do that. Well, actually, we were first told, yeah, maybe we'll do that, right? Or maybe just do 120 students a term. So to now say, well, we got to think about faculty workload, and we're doing this impaction for faculty workload. To quote Emma Gonzalez, I call BS on that. There are plenty of opportunities to fund instruction, to create pathways to tenure for our lecturer faculty, 60% of the faculty at this university, many of whom are not able to enjoy their academic freedom because they are afraid to speak truth to power, because they have term-to-term contracts. So the possibilities are unimaginable. And I just want to encourage us to pursue those. It's uncomfortable. You know, I am actually very conflict averse and an introvert. It's uncomfortable to challenge our bosses, but as Carlos Tejeda, my colega, who spoke, I know, the other night, said my first responsibility is to our students, and then as a faculty member, as a worker, to my colleagues. And so I hope we will continue to straighten our backs up a little bit, do what ELAC did, right? Fight a little bit for the future of this nation. We're in a real moment of truth right now, okay? And I know I'm getting polemical, but this matters. And I agree that those of us who are very privileged really need to do some deep soul searching and join a movement, okay? Because the false choices we're being given are just that. So Alejandro Marchevsky mentioned that Howard Bunces will be here. He's a forensic accountant. He works with the American Association of University Professors. He'll be here in April. I would love to have him present not just to CFA, but to our Senate. The budget is opaque for a reason, on purpose. It's confusing. Impaction, enrollment, exclusion is confusing for a reason. And so we want to pull the veil back and have a real conversation about how to fund public higher education and to fund instruction and faculty equity and justice going forward in this state of California. I've only been here 10 years, but I plan on being here for a long time because this too has become my community from whom I've learned and with whom I share a lot of love, and especially in the struggle for justice. So please join us in that work.
Thank you, Molly. Erica?
I just forgot one thing, which is I have a very concrete ask, and I don't know how it works, but I think that I think there's a pretty loud consensus on this campus, unless other people are sharing, that we would like a moratorium. And if that's the case, I really would ask the Academic Senate that they pass a resolution saying so, because I think the more we can very quickly put the brakes on this, the better chance we are to actually have this dialogue that I know that it just seems like people really want to have. And I do believe that we'll come up with creative solutions to the problem. Thank you. I got to go.
Thank you, Erica. Any other questions? Alejandro?
I actually have a question more than additional comments, which is, what is the process? Because my understanding is that this proposal, the administration is already gone with it, right? I believe that they have already submitted it on behalf of our university to the chancellor's office, but we don't know, right? We don't know when the chancellor is going to evaluate it, what criteria they'll use to evaluate it. They had a public comment section that in fact is not public, because if you go on there you can't see what people wrote. And when I emailed the provost about it, I was told that they would post a summary of the comments, which is not sharing all of the comments, right? It's some weeded version of what was submitted. So does the Senate have any information about what this process is and and more importantly, what the timeline is? Because on Thursday and Friday at the public hearings, we were told that this would be announced to high school students on June 1st, which also seems like incredibly poor timing when most students are already walking out the door. So if they're already rolling out some kind of system-wide high school announcement, it makes me think that they need to have this approved as a done deal very soon, right, in order to get that communication system going. So what are we doing here, and what kind of pressure are we going to put on the administration to stop this now?
Thank you, Alejandro. Erica, you want to speak?
Does anybody know? I already spoke once. I'll try to make this real brief. I want to echo a couple of things that have been said here already, but I also want to go ahead and I also want to go ahead and say something new. I'd like to go ahead and thank Dr. Abdullah for reminding us that this is not the time or the place for everybody being nice and polite. But the people that we're trying to fight are not being nice and polite. What they're doing to students is beyond abuse. And I think that we need to go ahead and not try to be too sweet. Also, I'd like to thank this student here for calling our attention to white privilege. I think every white person needs to have something taped on their steering wheel and on the refrigerator at home telling them to continually checking their white privilege. They become so damn blind. And I'm the old white guy. Jesus.
I'm sorry. Okay, am I being attacked as a
Ellen,
white?
No, you're not. And I apologize if you feel I am.
I request courtesy from everybody. Ellen, I would request you to please be silent. He has every right to share what he wants to share.
I am not attacking anybody here. I'm just saying that white people need to...
I apologize on behalf of the Senate.
Okay. I also would like to remind everybody that, and it's already been said, but that the way we judge incoming students as to what their capabilities are. There was somebody here that mentioned that SAT scores and things like this go ahead and do very little but to go ahead and solidify social status, and I completely agree. Most black and brown students that have the equal scores and grades with white students have worked much, much harder to get to that spot. And we all need to go ahead and realize this. And then in closing, I would just want to say that I want to say that judging from the one other quick thing. Somebody mentioned that we have too many students wanting to come here. We don't have too many students wanting to come here. We have too large of an administration. And what I wanted to go beyond that and say is that this administration, one, everybody seems to agree, has a different view of what this campus should be like as opposed to the students and the faculty on this campus, one. Two, this administration has repeatedly engaged in anti-democratic processes, hiding, announcing things at the very end. Somebody just mentioned that they're going to go ahead and tell high school students in June. Why are they doing that? That's so that the high school students won't have any chance to go ahead and protest against this and have a voice. It's an undemocratic process. I would encourage this body to go ahead and ask for Covino's resignation. This has been a continuing inappropriate, and we need an administration that's going to work with our faculty and work with our students and come together and help us build the kind of institution we want. This administration has proven itself unable to do that.
I don't want to repeat anything. I just want to second my colleague Erika Verba and Alejandra Marchewski and say, can we as a Senate either, very forcefully lodge a question to the administration on what is the process, what is the timeline, to just map the steps ahead, and can we also as a Senate have a statement about this problem? Barbara.
Thank you. I've been trying to be here and talk. But what I wanted to share was, I know a lot of the students talk about the impaction and the senators, and everybody else talks a lot, but sometimes I feel that sometimes a story needs to be shared. When I went to Franklin High School, it's actually not that far from here. I went from 1995 to 1999. That's 5 years. I actually flunked. I stayed an extra year in high school. I felt more the school was just concerned about me being there as opposed to being concerned what I was learning, any resources. I was part of the track system. I felt that, I couldn't really connect with my students, my classmates, my peers. I really felt that sometimes things were rushed in class and I didn't understand. I didn't want to be a failure in my family, so I pursued to push myself and go to adult school and at least get my high school diploma, because nobody in my family has ever done that. And so I have younger cousins that see me because I'm the eldest female among my cousins. We have only 2 male, but the majority is female. We're a female dominant family. And so I didn't want to have that example to them. And so I started working after I graduated high school. I graduated with a 1.9. My value of education was really poor. I had no interest in going to college. And I had a job. I had a really good job, full benefits, paid. I had a pension, fringe benefits, all that you can get. I was getting paid when I left there $17 an hour, and that was in the early 2000s, so that was pretty good. And when the company, of course, they didn't do their budget appropriately, the company had to be forced to shut down and lay off over 300 employees. And so I was out of a job. I had so much experience as a third-party administrator, and I had a lot of experience. When I would apply for work, they wanted an associate's degree or bachelor's degree. And that was something I didn't have because I felt a resentment towards the system, of the academic system of LAUSD. And so I felt fine. I had a different mentality, different outlook. I gave it a chance. I went to adult school. Through adult school, I had really good teachers that motivated me to go to college. So I started at East Los Angeles College, and I had to be forced to kind of like move to San Diego for a year to help my mom. And then I didn't really like the culture that was there in San Diego, and I came back. And when I came back to Los Angeles, I really embraced LA. People say I love LA, but I never really understood it until I left. I came back to Citrus College. I made a lot of friends, and there's still some friends that are still transferring here, and they're aspiring to come here. And I'm really happy to have them come over, and I tell them, yeah, come over, I can't wait to see you. You know, I want to be back in school with them again. And so them hearing this impaction, it terrifies them. They get bummed out. And they get sad. They're like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to be able to go. I'm like, don't worry. You keep trying. Don't worry. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But if you do get accepted, that would be awesome. And then also to another thing too, I'm a college mentor. I mentor juniors, which are pretty much going to be starting here in the fall 2020. And they're awesome students. I talk to them. I remember the age that I was their age. And I know the false hope that I had, that I didn't have any inspiration, I didn't have any motivation, and I see that in them. And I tell them, I motivate them. Like today, one of them, she was like, doing this really easy math problem. Well, to me it seems simple, but I know if I were her age, it would have been really hard. And she said I was dumb. And that broke my heart. I was like, no, like, you have no idea how smart you are. All my students that I mentor, they're really, really smart children, they're really bright. And they feel like they've been cheated. And they don't know what's really out there if they really push and they really thrive. And I always motivate them that I see all of them are leaders. And then going on with this impaction, and I know that that's the year that they're gonna start, that breaks my heart. I feel like I'm giving them false hope. And so like, how is it that I would be such a hypocrite? I don't want them to remember me when they graduate and they're applying for universities. And they say, oh, Barbara told me, but this isn't how it is. And it makes me feel really bad, and it breaks my heart because I know they're really excellent students and underprivileged in South Los Angeles and the urban communities in Los Angeles that are being underrepresented.
Thank you, Barbara. Any other speakers? Again, repeat speakers are most welcome. We still have time. All right. I just want to take a moment to thank all the visitors here. Thank you so much for sharing with us. And again, just to answer Alejandro's question, we are of the, at least the Senate thinks the proposal has not been submitted. Right now, they're gathering questions, and that was the whole aim of this quasi-meeting. Gather concerns, gather questions. This will be submitted to the administration on behalf of the Senate. At least that's what we are doing. If they've already submitted, we are not aware of it. Okay? So just to clarify, that's what we know. I again thank you very much for Alejandro. You want to add something?
Can the executive committee of the Senate get a clear answer from the administration about whether the proposal's been submitted? If not, when they anticipate making a decision and submitting it? How long the chancellor's office has to review the proposal? All of that. I mean, we have no transparency about how this process is supposed to work.
All right. Thank you, Alejandro.
And whether there'll be a chancellor's office visit to our campus to hear directly from faculty.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Molly?
I would like to move that we adopt.
We can't take any motions today. I'm so sorry because it's a quasi meeting, and again, most of the senators have also met. I'm so sorry, Molly. We can't take any. But any questions? Anything you want to say? We will be sharing that. Again, I really want to thank the visitors, especially who are not from Cal State LA, who has come from ELAC, from the community. Thank you very much for joining us. Can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting, please? Thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening.